Goes inside the NFL. We're on the road in San Diego, site of Super Bowl 32, to preview the big game between the Packers and Broncos. Joining us to analyze the game are 49ers tight end Brent Jones and Vikings head coach Dennis Green. We look at why the country has decided to make John Elway the sentimental favorite in this, his fourth attempt at a ring. And a look back at the sights and sounds of the past NFL season.
Guys, you're just not in the game.
Now, from Coronado Island in downtown San Diego, site of Super Bowl 32, it's the show the pros watch, Inside the NFL, with your hosts, Glenn Dawson, Nick Bonaconti, Chris Collinsworth, and Jerry Glanville.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Super Bowl preview show, and what a tremendous setting we have for you this year. We are located on beautiful Coronado Island. Behind us, you see the skyline of downtown San Diego.
And we got the sand, the beach, the rocks, we got seagulls, we got ducks, we got boats, and we got Collinsworth.
And you still have on cowboy boots. This is the beach.
You're not supposed to wear those.
Flip-flops, something like that.
You can take the boy out of the country.
Thank you.
Super Bowl 32, we've got the Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos. This is the second Super Bowl for the city of San Diego to host. The first one 10 years ago. It was Doug Williams and the Washington Redskins clobbering John Elway and the Denver Broncos. And Nick, this time around, the Broncos are huge underdogs, so who's to say it won't happen again?
I think a long road to hoe for the Denver Broncos, Lenny, but one thing they got going for them, this could be anticlimactic for the Green Bay Packers. The reason I say that, when I played in the Super Bowl 7, we won. The next year we came back against the Minnesota Vikings. It was very difficult for Don Shula to get our team focused and concentrating on the game, because actually for us, after going and winning that first Super Bowl, the second one was anticlimactic.
I hear you talking, but what you forgot is you won the second game by more points than you won the first game, and that's because you had better talent. And I look at the Packers. If they're not focused, if they don't have a good practice, guess what? After the first quarter, they got the best talent. They win the game.
Well, listen to you guys. We might as well get on the plane and go home, Lenny. There's no reason to be here. This game's a blowout. Let me tell you something. This is a different AFC than what we have seen in the past. The Denver Broncos are big up front. They're physical. They're moving people off the football. They've got Terrell Davis in the backfield. And don't forget, last year without Desmond Howard, I'm not sure Green Bay wins that game.
This game, I think, is going to get down to coaching. Coaching is going to be so very important. Not just the X's and O's, but how to handle the players down here. You know, you got Mike Holmgren. He was here last year. Mike Shanahan also was a member of the 49er team that came to the Super Bowl.
And, you know, for Mike Shanahan, the biggest temptation is going to be to try and spread the formations, design all these plays, try and trick them, take the 2 weeks and come up with a fancy game plan. It's a very simple game plan for the Denver Broncos. Give the ball to Terrell Davis, keep it close until the second half, use your power, win the football game.
Give it to Terrell Davis and run into Gilbert Brown, 375 pounds sitting, anchored on the line.
Right at him.
Get right at him. They'll take that line and just throw him back right into Terrell Davis.
And sooner or later, the Bronco defense has to take the field, Chris. And you look at the Bronco defense, their corners don't match up with the Packers offense, so they got to double somebody. They got to roll the corner and bring a safety over and double a wide receiver. When they do that, Dorsey Levin's running up the middle.
You're right. These guys don't want Denver to play this football. I guess they forgot the fact that Denver went to hostile territory in Kansas City and won. Went to Pittsburgh and won. I rest my point. You know, the Green Bay Packers set a goal in training camp of an undefeated season. While that goal may have been ambitious, they were able to make it back to the Super Bowl.
When the season began, the Green Bay Packers found that defending a world championship was a mental challenge as well as a physical one.
We really didn't know how tough it would be to repeat, so we were just kind of going through the motions.
And Detroit moving around at the line of scrimmage. Here's Red Trout. Oh, he slipped. Now It's a lot easier to get on top than to stay on top. We knew that we'd be the top gun, everybody be gunning for us, and we saw every team's best game each week and each week in, each week out, and that made it very difficult. First 7 weeks, we ended up 5-2. It was drudgery. It was like we were 2-5. Nobody was having fun.
On a 50-pass protection play, we got to throw the ball hot. That's why we have 50 protections.
I don't like how we're playing right now, offensively.
Things weren't going the way we wanted. We were struggling. We had guys hurt.
You know, we lost Craig Newsom, one of our top cornerbacks. We didn't have George Kuntz, and so our defense was depleted a little bit.
In Week 6, the Packers outmuscled then undefeated Tampa Bay.
Guys, keep playing hard. Stay aggressive now. Go for the turnover. Let's get the turnover. Let's go.
The defense hurdled early season obstacles as several solid performers stepped forward to replace injured starters. On offense, number 25 Dorsey Levens, a backup in 1996, emerged as a workhorse. After Edgar Benham was hurt during the preseason, Levens found himself torn between reluctance and readiness.
I wanted to play, but I was just like kind of forced into it, like thrown into the fire, so to speak.
And he gives it to Levens.
In the NFC, only Barry Sanders rushed for more yardage than Levens.
He will score the touchdown, and the Packers have gone.
Despite a lineup that went through numerous changes, Mike Holmgren never altered his desire to win another NFL title.
Here we go. 51X spot, flank across. Let's see what we got.
To always make a statement, you have to want the Super Bowl more than I want it. You have to. If you don't want it more than I want it, then there's no reason to play the game.
I think after week 7, when Mike gave us that week off, we calmed down, and I think that was an excellent thing that he did for us during that time because we need to rest and we need to get some guys well.
And he just said, hey, you got the whole week off, go home, get away from football for a while, and when we come back, we're going to strap it on and we're going to, head for the big one.
New England, we started to fire. We was like, uh-oh, watch out now. And I used the term, they're back, watch out, we're back, because it had that same feeling like this is what reminded us for last year where offense scores a whole bunch of points and defense goes in and just shuts you down.
After their week of rest, the recharged Packers reeled off a 3-game winning streak.
Brett back to throw, rolling. Now looking. Now he's going to run with the ball. Is he going to run it in? Yeah. Touchdown, Brett Favre!
But there would be one more false start during the run to a title.
Throws Brett Favre, sets up, looks, throws one over the middle of the field. Taken off by Blackman. Robin at the 50-yard line. Laterals at the base of Belzer.
In the season's biggest upset, the Packers became the first team to lose to the Indianapolis Colts.
And then when we went to Indianapolis and let that one go, we evaluated everything. And we knew if we wanted to do what we needed to do, we couldn't play like that against teams we're supposed to be.
Embarrassment in Indianapolis was followed by a 7-game winning streak that began against Dallas.
To lose to Indianapolis and come back and beat Dallas the way we had beaten them here after 7 or 8 times of not even coming close was definitely a momentum builder for our team. We really wanted to win that ball game more so than any game we played up to that point.
1997 was another spectacular campaign for Brett Favre, who threw 35 touchdown passes and shared league MVP honors.
He makes a lot of plays that a lot of quarterbacks can't. His wisdom and knowledge of this offensive system is so to the point.
All right, here we go. They're going to jump right here. They're going to jump. Everybody hold your water.
He's always cracking jokes and different things like that. But he's our leader, and he leads by the way he goes out there and plays and competes. And he's a terrific quarterback and somebody that you're very, very proud to block for.
Favre led the Packers to a playoff win that propelled them into the NFC Championship game.
I told him before we played San Francisco, I said, man, this thing rides on your shoulder. We either go win with you or lose with you. And, and he knows that. And the thing is that as a defensive unit, we know that we can get the ball in his hands and in the offense hands, they're going to put the points on the board.
The 49ers offense was kept out of the end zone, while Favre directed a pair of touchdown drives.
On a quick slant, and he caught it. 15, he's in the 10, and he will score for the Packers.
It's going again, baby! It's going once again!
For some reason, I think our team felt like the taste that we had in our mouth was sweeter than it was last year. And we played that way against San Francisco. And I know going into the Super Bowl, we'll want it even more. And if we do get lucky enough to win this game, I mean, it will mean everything.
We just really overcame a lot this year together as a unit, and we grew together as a team as well.
We had our bumps in the road this year, man, but I am so proud of the way you handle this whole thing. And it's not one man, it's not two men, it's not five men, it's everybody in this room. Everybody. Because that's the Green Bay Packer organization. Hey, I'm proud of you, but what? We're not done yet, all right?
Now with two tight ends, both Chimera and Jackson. Bennett the lone setback on 2nd down to 9. Favre goes back to pass. Blitz is on, but they pick it up. Pass downfield, caught. Touchdown! Touchdown, Andre Rison! You can credit Brett Favre. Is he going to come out? Is he going to be nervous? Look at that
Last year, Green Bay got off to a great start. If they do that against Denver, the Broncos are going to be in deep trouble. Joining us now is a guy who owns 3 Super Bowl rings, the All-Pro tight end for the 49ers, Brent Jones. Show these guys the Super Bowl.
One of those is mine.
Not too shabby, huh?
1988, that one's mine.
He's got more diamonds than you do.
That's right. Hey, you announced your retirement. Gary Zimmerman, the offensive tackle for Denver, he announced his retirement. Then he unannounced his retirement. Now he's down here playing the Super Bowl. How about your game plan? Could it change?
Well, Len, Gary's a pretty smart guy. You know, he announced his retirement, and then when training camp rolled around, he sat there and watched his guys go through that whole thing, and then came back and said, you know, I think I'll play for a few $1 million. So never say never, but I think right now I'm sticking with the retirement.
Brent, let me ask you about the last game you played against the Green Bay Packers. One of the things that surprised me about your game plan was the way that you guys kept trying to run to the outside as opposed to just running it right up the gut, right up the middle, where it seemed to be having more success.
Well, you know, Chris, initially our game plan was to go right at Gilbert Brown, wear him down, get him tired, and for whatever reason we started getting the ball, bouncing it outside. That middle was clogged up, and we never really could attack the middle like we wanted to. And they've got those quick linebackers, great pursuers, and they were out there making the tackles against us, and we never really got that running game going.
You know, you also played Denver late in the season. You threw the football all over the yard against those guys. The big question in this one, can they hold up against Brett Favre? Your thoughts?
You know, I really think that they can. I think they're going to have to put some pressure through blitzing on Brett early on. They've got some corners that probably aren't as strong as the Green Bay corners, and they're going to have to cover those wideouts man-to-man, which is going to put a lot of pressure on those guys. But if you can get to Brett Favre, rattle him early, make him make a few throws that he doesn't want to throw, maybe make a big play, a turnover here or there, they might have a chance.
Is there a tight end that can block well enough on a Seth Joyner to get that ball to the outside?
Well, you know, Jerry, I really think that both tight ends in this game are outstanding. Shannon Sharp is more of a receiving tight end. Mark Chimera, a big blocker. I think Shannon Sharp's going to be the key in this game because the Packers are going to have to stop him from getting the ball downfield. And if they can hold him up, make Elway have to go to the outside guys, Green Bay has some awful good corners.
You had a pretty good battle with Leroy Butler in that Green Bay secondary. He's a guy, he likes to make a little noise while he's playing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does. And he was actually quiet that day, and Mike Holmgren had let those guys know, just go ahead and hold the tight end. We'll take the 5-yard penalty. I think they had 3 or 4 5-yard penalties in holding. What's a 5-yard penalty do to you?
You know, everybody's talking about the Denver Broncos secondary not being able to stop the wide receiver of the Packers. But tell me about the tight end, Mark Chimera. How will he get open?
Well, you know, I think he's going to really have an opportunity there in the zone coverage. He's great at sitting and finding those holes in the zone. He's as good as anybody in the league at that. Man-to-man, he's going to have a tough time going against Steve Atwater, one of the best safeties in the league, who's a great man-to-man guy and really brings a lick when he comes and hits you.
Well, you've analyzed this game pretty well. Now what I want,
Let's go.
Yes, I want your pick of who's going to win and by how much.
Well, guys, I'd really like to see the Broncos win. Both former coaches of mine, Mike Shanahan, Mike Holmgren, but I really think the smart money's got to be with Green Bay. I think it's going to be tough to stop Dorsey Levens in that running attack.
Is it going to be a blowout or a close game?
I think Denver's going to keep it close. I think Elway and the offense are going to keep it close. I'm looking maybe 7 to 10 points.
A guy that has some common sense. I like it.
Brent, thank you very much, and good luck whatever you do, whether it's retirement or back here again playing next year.
Well, thanks a lot, Lynn. Appreciate it.
Denver's road to Super Bowl 32 started with last season's playoff loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. From that day forward, all thoughts were to get back to San Diego.
Here we were, the team that was picked
to probably be in the Super Bowl last year. And we got knocked off in the first round. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience for everyone. Because after that game, you saw the looks in everybody's eyes like, how did we let this one get away from us?
Anytime you don't take advantage of an opportunity like we had, I think it always sticks in your stomach throughout the off-season, throughout the summer camps, and once you do lead into the season. So it was tough.
Mike discussed that once we got together and say, hey guys, I know what happened the last game of the season left a very disappointing taste in your mouth. He said the only thing that we can do is practice hard, prepare hard, get back in that same position, and go from there. That's all we can do.
The 97 Broncos refocused on their Super Bowl goal and were re-energized by new faces like former Chief Neil Smith.
Don't leave nothing on the field. 13 minutes. Don't leave nothing.
While the Broncos were often susceptible to the run, their overall defense finished 5th in the NFL. Their offense, meanwhile, was the best in the league. Denver's attack was once again propelled by the explosive running of Terrell Davis, who gained more than 1,700 yards and scored 15 touchdowns. With teams focused on stopping Davis, the airways opened up for John Elway and the passing game.
You got to stop this guy. You have to. If you don't, he'll have 200 yards. So teams give to stop him, and they're going to play man-to-man on the outside guys and Shannon. And you know, I think Phil, we did a great enough job in order to keep them honest and to open up everything for us as far as all aspects of our game.
That was a phenomenal catch. Phenomenal catch.
With all phases of their game working, the Broncos made it look easy on their way to a 9-1 record, a stretch that included a gut-check victory in late October, when Denver was hit with a surprise blizzard that nearly grounded their travel plans to Buffalo.
The flight was delayed by several hours. Many players almost missed it and didn't have any rest. Got in around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, which is not normal for an away game. And I think players rose to the occasion.
We have people getting picked up in snowmobiles, tractors, people driving off the road, down in ditches, guys walking a mile in 3 feet of snow, just barely getting here. And to handle that adversity and get there, say, at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and still find a way to win the football game said a lot about the character of our football team.
3 weeks after the Broncos were rescued by an overtime field goal in Buffalo, their season took a dramatic turn when another kick dealt them a devastating defeat in Kansas City.
When the ball went over, it just like crushed me. And I said after that day that you know, I think that this year probably cost us the AFC West.
The division title continued to slip away with a loss in Pittsburgh.
We had everything on the line. We were supposed to play our best football, and we came out and we got embarrassed by that team. And I think that gave us a wake-up call to say, look, if you want to play better and you want to go deep in the playoffs, you better start doing it right now.
I remember walking off the field in Pittsburgh, and after the game, and Mike was walking off the field with me, and I looked at him and said, Mike, we're going to have to do it the hard way, and we'll do it.
Hey, like we said all week, this is what we've been working for since April. Let's go out, have some fun, play like we're capable.
After going 3-3 down the stretch and being relegated to wild card status, the Broncos began their long road through the playoffs by convincingly avenging last year's playoff loss against the Jaguars.
Total domination, that's what we did. We dominated them. Dominated them.
Next was a trip to Kansas City, where Neil Smith found retribution against his former team, and the defense denied the Chiefs' final chance.
Pass is going to be knocked away. Incomplete. Incomplete. The Bronco defense holds.
When the game was over, I cried because I felt like the whole load that was on me has finally been released, and the pressure that was on me to win, that we won the biggest one, and we won the one that actually counted.
Finally, the Broncos made up for their earlier loss in Pittsburgh.
One-handed catch for Howard Griffin inside the 10, inside the 5 to the pylon, touchdown.
The Broncos have finally seized the opportunity that slipped away last season and given their aging leader one more shot at the ultimate prize.
It doesn't take a Super Bowl win to have a great career, but ultimately I think the bottom line is most people judge it by is that, you know, that's kind of the touche or the final mark as far as what makes a great quarterback a great quarterback.
We kind of feel a sense of urgency that we got to get it done for, not only for ourselves, but especially for John.
Everyone wants to win one for John because he's meant so much to this organization, so much to the city, and he's a great person. Aside from a great athlete, he's a great person and a great leader for our football team.
You realize that these opportunities are few and far between, so you have to take advantage when they come. And so there's no question about it. We're going to be trying to take full advantage of this one. And if they only gave one Super Bowl ring to the winning team, I would definitely vote to give mine to Elway.
We look at the 13-year streak of Super Bowl domination for the NFC. Vikings coach Dennis Green joins us to talk about the big game and a look back at the sights and sounds of the past NFL season.
Inside the NFL's run show continues from San Diego, California, site of Super Bowl 32.
Now, we're all psychics, right?
Psychos.
We can see things. Well, psycho in your case, yes. We can see things. We can see what's going to happen. Here's what I want you to do. Tell me how you visualize this game starting out.
Well, for the Denver Broncos, they have to get off to a quick start because typically this season, they've gotten out fast and then tried to hold on at the end of the game. And for the Green Bay Packers, they go the way of Brett Favre. And the only time that you ever see anybody get to Brett Favre is in the first quarter of the game. He's all hyped up. He's all excited. And I know the Broncos are counting on him throwing one of those laser beams that tips off somebody's hands and get an interception. It's really the only way they can stay in this game early.
Well, I like Terrell Davis. I think he's going to start off very fast and run right up the middle like you talked about earlier. And I think when the first quarter is over, the Denver Broncos are going to be ahead 7-0. But by halftime, it's going to be tied 7-7, and then Favre will take over.
Well, one thing I can rest assured, Brett Favre is not going to be like Cordell Stewart. He's going to be looking at Steve Atwater. Steve Atwater is playing back in his regular normal safety position. Look for a steady diet early on of Dorsey Levens. On the other hand, if Steve Atwater comes up close to the line of scrimmage, he'll check off and he'll go deep to the wide receivers, Antonio Freeman and Robert Brooks. Early in the game, I think Brett Favre puts points on the board.
I didn't say ifs. I didn't say anything about ifs, this and that. I said, how do you visualize? I can see it right now.
You see it?
I can see a couple of the Denver Broncos offensive players a little uptight. Everybody wants John Elway to get a Super Bowl victory, but John, I think, is going to put a lot of pressure on himself. I don't see him coming out throwing very well at the beginning. I've seen him throw some bricks here before some other ball games. The other one is Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis is from right here in San Diego, went to Lincoln High School. This week they retired his jersey. I think he's going to put an awful lot of pressure on himself, so instead of just thinking, what can I do to help the team, he's looking, let me break one. I think he'll put too much pressure on himself, and I think Green Bay gets off to an early lead. Now, everybody in town has their own theory on the NFC domination in Super Bowls. Andrea Joyce has more on the unlucky streak of 13 straight losses for the AFC.
I see 13 years of sadness and frustration. I see a lot of heartbreak and confusion. There's so much effort in the past.
Well, the Denver Broncos have yet another opportunity to reverse the fortunes of the AFC. The American Football Conference hasn't won a Super Bowl since 1984. And once again, everyone's speculating on why that big game success just hasn't been in the cards for the AFC.
It's been, 13 straight? I hate the number 13, so it might mean something for us.
I've been asked that question probably 100 times, and I honestly don't have a good answer.
It is the mystery of the NFL. Both conferences draw from the same talent pool, yet during this streak, the AFC has been outscored by the NFC an average of 21 points per Super Bowl.
Dallas, San Francisco, and Washington. I see a lot of strength and superiority.
One theory, the NFC is simply a stronger conference with better management and tougher teams.
Here's a pass in the flat, picked up by the Cowboys. Larry Brown may score.
I think the biggest thing is that, you know, the AFC has turned the ball over 44 times, the NFC has turned the ball over 10 times. I like to think that we have just as good of players as the NFC, but until somebody proves otherwise, you can always make that case. The NFC is the better conference.
Defense. It's all defense. The NFC is a more physical, better coached defensively than the AFC.
Before the cap, I think they had all the money. They were spending more money than everybody and had the better players. So, but now I think it's going to level out, and I think you'll see some of the AFC teams come through, and I hope it's us this year.
Theory number 2, this is nothing more than a long karmic cycle of success for the NFC, one that will eventually run its course.
He looks and throws, end zone, touchdown!
Look at it before that. The AFC dominated it with the Raiders and the Dolphins and the Steelers. You know, they dominated it. So maybe it's trends. We'll say it's trends.
When the AFC was dominating, it was tough, physical football, and we winning those games. We weren't winning it a lot of time wide open. Man. I mean, we were playing football.
It's you know, a fumble, an interception, a drive. Those kind of things. I don't think there's a single factor.
So maybe it is just plain old bad luck. That's about the only explanation for the outcome in Super Bowl 25. Could the AFC be cursed?
It's long enough, and it is no good. He missed it to the right.
A little voodoo action. I think possibly that the football gods are annoyed at something, and the AFC is way beyond control here.
There's no such thing as jinx. There's a bunch of men out there playing with pride and guts. It's just that NFC got more guts and more pride than the AFC got.
I've been on both sides of the fence, and there's no difference in players. The NFC seems like, hey, it's ours. They don't want it. Let's take it. No, AFC just got the bow up.
And more intangibles are coming into play this week. As the Broncos are asked repeatedly about the AFC Super Bowl failures, it could have a psychological impact.
Fourth intercepted against Bledsoe.
It can be an additional pressure that, hey, they're on this roll and don't want to continue, so it can have a negative effect.
They'll tell you it doesn't affect them, but it certainly does. I mean, they go into a game with like King Kong on their back. They know that they're out there playing to end a streak that's lasted way too long.
If you buy into that, then you don't have a chance to win. And if you don't have a chance to win, you shouldn't play the game. And we want to play the game.
And now the immediate future is clear. John Elway and his underdog Broncos have their best shot in 4 tries to break this baffling phenomenon and return glory to the AFC.
Receivers to the left, 2 to the right, 47-yard line. Elway drops back, has a little time. Now starts to move out. Now he lets it go, throws it downfield. Should be picked off, and it is. Chet Brooks is back to the 50. He's down to the 45. He's to the 40, and he steps out of bounds near the 38-yard line. What a year this second-year defensive back has had for San Francisco. And what an awful throw.
A big reason the NFC has been able to dominate the last 13 Super Bowls: turnovers. You simply cannot turn the ball over too often and expect to win. No one knows that better than our guest, Dennis Green, the head football coach of the Minnesota Vikings, one of the best coaches in the National Football League. 13 Super Bowl victories in a row by the NFC. Dennis, why?
Well, when you have turnovers, many times it's because the other teams are more physical. The National Football Conference in a one-game winner-takes-all is just too physical for many of the AFC teams, and I think that makes a big difference.
Well, I got a big physical question for you. You're on the last year of your contract. It doesn't look like anybody's going to offer you an extension. And in a perfect world, do you really want to go back and coach the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, I'd love to coach the Minnesota Vikings. I really would, but not on the last year of a contract. I don't think that's fair to the players. I don't think it's fair to me or the assistant coaches. I don't think it's done in the National Football League. The players deserve to have coaches that are working on trying to win and win championships and not worrying about job security.
Dennis, under the present circumstances as it exists with the Minnesota Vikings, are you prepared to resign from your job?
Well, I tell you, that's something between me and my attorneys, probably and Roger Hedrick, the president of Minnesota Vikings. And all I'm saying is this, is that we've staked out our position on December the 2nd of 1998, or 1997. We talked about it earlier. Roger Hedrick knows exactly how we feel about the last year of a contract. He also knows that we want an extension. If he's not want to give us an extension, I think we're going to have to look at the next phase of that.
Well, let's get back to football. You've gone against Brett Favre as much as anybody in the National Football League and had great success against him at your place. What's your secret? How can you beat Brett Favre and the Packers?
You got to pressure him. You have to keep him contained. He's a terrific player. He's really hot as a firecracker. We thought he was just hot 3 years ago, then hot 2 years ago, now hot now. Just a great player. And I think the bottom line is you got to keep him contained and put pressure on him.
When you talk about pressure, does that mean that you have to blitz him? I know that the zone blitz many times, go right up the middle, is really in Favre's face is the way to get to him, or do you play coverage?
I think you have to play coverage. And I think that's going to maybe fall back to the old days when you had matchups. What defensive lineman can whip what offensive lineman? You cannot do it by blitzing. You can't do it by zone blitzing. They're too good a football team. The system is too good. What about the old days when one defensive end had to whip a tackle? What about when a nose tackle's got to whip a center? I think that's the only way you stop it.
I want to look up some of the matchups. You have Antonio Freeman, you have Robert Brooks going against Connors, Darian Gordon, and Ray Crockett. How do you see that?
Well, Darian played for me at Stanford. He's a tremendous competitor, an outstanding player. But Antonio Freeman and Brooks are very hot right now. They've got a system that they understand. If you make one mistake, they can route adjust on you, and Brett Favre can make the throw. So you cannot rely on your corners to win this ball game. It's got to be won with your defensive front and linebackers.
All right, if you're the Denver Broncos now, do you want to have a running game? Do you run away from Gilbert Brown? I know it's very difficult to attack him, but I mean, where do you go with the running game?
Can't run around him, too big.
You've got to go outside. Gilbert is going to take up two players, which means that he's going to make sure that one of the linebackers is coming free, and that's just the way it is. If Gilbert decides he's going to the right, he's going to the right. There's not one thing that you can do to stop him. You've got to run outside, which means you're running at Reggie White, you know, and the other end, but that's just the way it is. That's your best chance to run, and you have to run the football in the Super Bowl if you have any chance at all to win the ball game.
Well, let's talk about this Super Bowl 32. Who is going to win and why and by how much?
Well, I hate to get into predictions, but I'm an NFC man. I know a lot about the Green Bay Packers. Mike Homer's done a great job. You know, I don't get into the point spread, obviously, but I think it's going to be very difficult for the Denver Broncos to beat the Green Bay Packers.
So you think the Packers are going to win?
Surprise! Just like the other talk, I'm giving you over that same talk.
Hey, Dennis, thank you very much, and good luck with your situation in Minnesota. Thanks for being on the show. John Elway is one of the greatest football players of all time. He's remained relatively healthy, and he's been rewarded with untold millions of dollars. Now, has the whole country gone mad and feeling sorry for him because he hasn't won a Super Bowl? Chris takes us inside the playoffs to find out.
I hope Denver Broncos win because John Elway definitely deserves a ring.
Denver. They always do. He deserves it.
The theme of Super Bowl 32 that started way before the Packers and Broncos even landed in San Diego focuses on John Elway's fourth and maybe last attempt to win a Super Bowl. Ask his teammates, and everyone is thinking about it in one way or another.
It's nothing new to us. This just didn't happen overnight. We are well aware of what it means to John to get a ring.
The people that know what it takes to get here, they know that without a guy like John, we wouldn't have been here the other 3 times. It'd be very special if John could put that ring on his finger.
Hopefully we can pull this thing off this week and win. Not just for John, but winning for ourselves. But then, you know, John then goes over the hump and not being the quarterback that lost 4.
He's about to retire, I think, so I think he should get it this time.
John Elway is a happy man, at least right now.
Elway's quest is a topic of conversation even in the opposing locker room. However, the Packers aren't quite as concerned about the future Hall of Fame.
In my mind,
I would be his biggest fan if I wasn't playing in this game. You know, but I can definitely sympathize with him, but since I'm playing in this game, you can't.
He asked me about the sympathy question, whether he wins and all that stuff. I play for the Green Bay Packers, not the Denver Broncos.
I want to win. I'm not concerned about anybody on the opposing team. I want to win the Super Bowl.
Even the hardcore members of the media have feelings towards Elway, some more sympathetic than others.
People want to see this personal hell that he's had, and that's what it is, finally end for him.
I don't think anyone should feel sorry for John Elway for losing 3 Super Bowls. I mean, he went to 3 and lost 3. I mean, the 3 quarterbacks that he played against in those Super Bowls had the game of their lives, and John Elway didn't have the game of his life.
I mean, the guy had 3 opportunities in the Super Bowl, and he threw a bunch of interceptions, and he had a lot of weapons with him at that time. I mean, he had great chances at a fairly young age to do it on a national stage, and he wasn't able to do it.
Realistically, he realizes this is his last shot.
Well, it is the Super Bowl and one of the world's largest annual media events. And no matter who wins on Sunday, there's no question the story within the story in San Diego is John Elway's quest for that first Super Bowl ring. Beautiful Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery, where many of America's finest have been laid to rest. And joining us on the program now, our own Gary Myers. And Gary, a lot of excitement around here this week, not only for you because you got to get out of Green Bay in that cold weather last week, but this is the week for John Elway. That's been the attention of this Super Bowl. But I got to think the Green Bay Packers got to be a little sick of hearing about it.
You know, Chris, last year all they heard about during the week was about Bill Parcells leaving the Patriots. This week, only about John Elway, but it's not the same degree of irritation by any means. In fact, Brett Favre and John Elway are very good friends. Favre said if it wasn't the Packers playing the Broncos in this game, he'd definitely be rooting for John Elway to win his first Super Bowl. If the Packers should happen to lose this game, a very small consolation would be that Elway would get his first ring. And adding to all the intrigue about John Elway this week is whether or not he plans to play again in '98. If he wins the Super Bowl Sunday, that could definitely influence his decision. He's not said yet what his plans are for next year.
All right, I want to get back to a story that you broke last week, and that's concerning Mike Holmgren and the possibility that he goes to Seattle as their head coach and general manager. What's the latest?
Well, Chris, you know, when the Super Bowl is over on Sunday, Seattle can contact Mike Holmgren if they want, or general manager Ron Wolf, because there's been a lot of stories that they are interested in Ron Wolf as their general manager. Both are under contract. Both would need the Packers' permission to speak to Seattle. Holmgren told me he does not have an out clause in his contract that would allow him to take what would be considered a promotion, being coach and general manager. If Holmgren leaves, maybe Sherm Lewis would then take his spot. If Ron Wolf leaves, then Mike Holmgren could stay in Green Bay and be coach and general manager.
All right, how about the Broncos? Everyone's talking about the fact that they've lost 4 Super Bowls and all that goes with that. Is it really a factor?
Not for this team it isn't, Chris, because, you know, there's only 3 players, John Elway, Tyrone Braxton, and Steve Atwater, who took part in any of those Broncos Super Bowl losses. So this team really has no experience losing Super Bowls for the Broncos. In fact, there's a lot of players on this team that have been on winning Super Bowl teams, so it's really not an issue this week at all.
Gary, it's a little surprising the Broncos are here at all, because I remember with a couple of weeks to go in the regular season, they looked like they were completely out of it.
Well, Chris, you know, the turning point of the season was the Wednesday after that Monday night loss in San Francisco. They had a players-only team meeting. Guard Mark Schlereth had gone to Mike Shanahan and said, we need to sit down just as players only. They had lost back-to-back games to the Steelers and 49ers. In that 49er game, Bill Romanowski had spit at J.J. Stokes. Right. And, you know, a lot of people thought it was starting to become a racial issue. They needed to get that out in the open. Schlereth talked about how they didn't want to let this opportunity to go to the Super Bowl slip away like they did last year. At the end of that meeting, John Elway got up talking about Romanowski and said the guy's apologized, he's admitted he made a mistake, it's time to forget about it and move on. So many Bronco players told me this week that meeting was crucial for straightening out the team. Since that game, they've won 4 straight, including 3 in the playoffs that got them to the Super Bowl.
All right, Gary, we'll see you in New York next week for the grand finale.
Okay, Chris.
Well, what separates Inside the NFL really from all the other shows is the incredible sound we get. By putting microphones on the top players and coaches, we put fans right on the sidelines, in the huddles, and inside the locker rooms. We've compiled the best from this year for our annual Sounds of the Season.
Let's go, man. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, let's go. I ain't satisfied either, my friend.
Well, this is my little private world out here. And you guys are like, you know, entering my private world.
It's a 60-minute affair, one play at a time, feed off each other. All right, baby, let's go. Let's play for each other. What do you say now? You play for the team and you play for one another.
Do not underestimate the power of the human will.
Let's define our season today, baby. Who are we? Win on three. 1, 2, 3. Win.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
What is... They killed the quarterback right now.
Somebody's got to stop that guy, all right? Hey, guys, that's an embarrassment out there. That's a damn embarrassment.
You guys will be great players someday, but you got to do it every time.
Everybody out there that could have screwed up, screwed up.
Come on, let's get that well-oiled machine going.
This is a touchdown. This is a touchdown. This is a touchdown.
Run to the corner. Get it down, Jim. Get it down. Come on now. Hey, we got to use the hand, John. Come on, you better than that.
Son of a buck. Jiminy Christmas.
Damn it. Hey, what?
Our rhythm is off.
Oh, he grabbed him. He grabbed him. He wasn't over the line. He wasn't over the line. Oh, we're over the line.
You think we're honestly that undisciplined, or is he bobbing his head?
Hey, Bob. What's the holding? Hey, Bob, they're holding number 50 out here.
Who was the holding on? Give me a number.
Who'd they say?
Come on, you could see it from here.
I need the number. You got to have the number.
Number 46.
You got to give me the number.
That's a penalty.
Well, you can't call a penalty unless you got a number.
That's another penalty.
So you better have it next time. Now, you want to know who it was? You want me to tell you? It was number 22.
That is unconscionable. That's unconscionable.
Well, I didn't get a look. He was the only guy that ruled on it.
That's unconscionable.
We just stopped the clock. Everybody else, when he stopped.
That's unconscionable.
You guys are ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous, man.
You guys you're just not in the game. You don't understand the game. All you understand are those nitpicking little interpretations.
Hey, that's 2 plays in a row. Let the guys play.
Play ball, play ball, play ball, play ball, play ball. Both called.
All right, don't worry about it. You just keep pumping in there, because there's some holes in there now.
Okay, come on. Hit it.
Big hole in the middle. 30, 25, 20.
Come on, come on.
Goodbye. He's off and running. They can't catch him. He's got it all the way.
Oh, baby, what a play.
Damn, it's about time.
That looks like a football team now.
It's a hell of a job of keeping our focus and coming right back at him, huh?
Come on, defense. Come on, defense.
Oh, I like that young man.
Bubble, baby. Bubble, 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 bubble. Blitz from the outside and a fumble.
We got it, we got it, we got it.
At the wall, let's go. Keep them playing at this level now, huh? Keep it up, baby. Keep it up.
Keep fighting out there. Keep our ass fighting.
Just keep working. Hey, I'm telling you, it'll be all right. Just keep working and keep running hard, man.
Listen up, man. Listen up.
I need your concentration. I need your concentration.
3-jet scout E option.
Spread left, 3-jet scout, E option on 1, ready? Billard hot. Regulator! Mount up!
Watch the blitz outside, Robert.
Blue, 58.
Looking, firing.
Great catch. See ya, see ya, see ya, see ya.
Yes! Way to go, baby!
Great play, great play, great play.
Good job. That's where to throw the ball. That's where to throw the ball.
Come on, that's all pressure now. Come on, big dogs.
Come on, gotta get a turnover. Come on, let's knock it loose. Let's go. Go get the ball.
5-step drop. Looking upfield. Got some time. Tip ball picked off.
We got it, we got it, we got it, we got it.
We got it. We got it.
All right, here we go. Come on. Here's our chance.
Okay, now listen, in this series, I'm going to stay with you. Is this fun or what?
Anderson. He's in there. Okay, all right, relax.
Let's go, let's
let's go, baby, let's go.
Okay, let's go now. Now we gotta drive that thing into the end zone.
All right, listen up, guys. We're going red left, 25 double goal.
2-jet, all go, double cat.
Z slant. H choose, third hut, ready?
Let's go, baby, get it in the end zone.
Put it in the end zone. Put it in the end zone.
76 flat, black 50, green 98, green 18, touch.
Throws way down the left sideline, turning around, spectacular catch at the back of the end zone. He caught it. He makes a leaping, diving catch like a Superman.
Hell of a job of hanging in there. I don't know why it is you make it so scary. I don't know. However, we got to win it. It was kind of ugly. We won it though, didn't we? Hey, we did. Huh? It was pretty darn ugly, but we'll take it.
We challenged ourselves and we answered the bell.
We made it happen because there's a lot of guys who out there that gave their heart. They gave their heart to the whole thing. I think we became a team today. We became a team.
That's a great win against a very good football team. Give me a team. 1, 2, 3. Team!
The game ball, coach.
Cabrillo National Monument overlooking San Diego Bay, and what a beautiful, serene place that is. Unlike what we just watched, the sounds of the season with all that hitting and all that emotion involved. But Nick, in the last decade on this show, periodically we would mic a player or a coach. But this year, for the very first time, every week we had either a coach or a player mic.
I tell you what, these guys were very, very emphatic about wanting to be mic'd. They love being part of this show, Lenny. They watch it every week and they enjoy being part of Inside the NFL.
I want to ask you something. Are you a little concerned about Jerry and Chris?
Yeah, I've been concerned all year about those characters.
Well, I'm concerned because ever since they came down here, you know what they've been talking about? Football, football, and football. So you know what I did?
Got a psychiatrist for
Well, that was the first thing I should have done. No, I went out and chartered a boat in the San Diego Bay just to clear their heads.
I don't care what you say, the Broncos have a chance in this one.
Not against the world champion Green Bay Packers, not with Brett Favre.
Man.
You really think that the Broncos have a chance?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. You give Mike Shanahan 2 weeks to get ready for any football game, believe me, he'll have something ready for your Packers.
2 weeks? What about Mike Holmgren? Him and the Packers, they'll blow him out by halftime.
How are you going to blow out a football team that has John Elway at quarterback and Terrell Davis running behind one of the hottest offensive lines in the game?
I agree the strength of the Broncos is the offensive line, but you got to look over at the Packers. Nobody can run at Reggie White. Absolutely makes you run to the weak side. Who's sitting over there? Gilbert Brown, and Gilbert Brown has to be double-teamed, and that leaves Bernardo Harris and Brian Williams, the two fast linebackers, free to stop your run.
Wait. Gilbert Brown has that bad ankle. They'll be able to double-team, get some movement on him. And Reggie White, it looks like he is fading just a little bit. We're seeing more teams running at Reggie White than we ever have.
Well, he can fade about 50% off, and he's still better than anybody else. And who he's got tucked in there behind him now is his old buddy from the Eagles, Seth Joyner. He's got that speed, making all kinds of plays on him.
But Seth Joyner is a speed player, you're right, but he's not going to be the kind of guy that's going to go up there and jam Shannon Sharp. And those are the guys that give Shannon Sharp problems. I think that he's going to have the big game.
I don't think Shannon Sharp can knock anybody off the ball. Everybody calls him a tight end. I'll tell you what I call him, Chris. He's a wide out in motion, so he's not involved in the tough running game.
But the one thing that he does have is the quickness to get that hook block. We saw against Pittsburgh that he was able to get outside, get the corner, and Terrell Davis made some big yards.
Well, I think what you run into then is two good hitting safeties. If they do hook the outside linebacker, you got Leroy Butler, who will turn that run right back the other way.
This game is going to be decided by number 7, John Elway. How are you going to take him away?
Well, John Elway can play, but guess what? Somebody's got to get open. Let me tell you about Ed McCaffrey. He's been having a great games in the playoffs, but he's been running against soft corners in the zone. Tyrone Williams will come up full press him, and Ed McCaffrey might as well come over to my house, sit on my couch, and watch a game.
Well, nobody wants to do that. But Rod Smith is a guy that can get off that full press bump and run. Remember earlier this year against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's all those guys played. He made some tremendous catches down the field.
Well, I got to tell you, Rod Smith is one guy. He'll give Doug Evans a little bit of a problem. But if you know that, and Denver knows that, why won't the Green Bay Packers take Eugene Robinson, the free safety, cheat him over there, roll him over the top of that, and we're going to pitch a shutout against Elway.
You cheat with any of the safeties against John Elway, and he will barbecue you. Besides, it doesn't matter who's catching the ball. Howard Griffith, the fullback, last week made the one-handed catch behind his back for the touchdown.
I'm glad you said the last game because that's his only catch of the year, and I don't think he'll make another one that the rest of his career.
You better start talking about Brett Favre, because if the Packers are going to win this ball game, it'll be with number 4.
Well, one thing about Brett Favre, they have that strong side passing game. You know it. I've studied it, where they're going to throw either to the flanker on the curl, his first choice. If that's open, the ball goes there. If they got the safety tucked underneath that flanker, they're going to throw it to the fullback in the flat. And if that's all covered, he fakes a pump there, turns around to the weak side, and hits the split in on the post. Guess what? Game's over. Checkmate.
Jerry, you're talking about the West Coast offense. Mike Shanahan runs the West Coast offense. You don't think he's going to have a solution for that base play?
I think he would if they didn't have Brett Favre. I don't know if there is a solution for stopping Brett Favre from playing playground football. It's the best thing he does.
Well, what if Brett Favre's laying there on his back? Neil Smith, Alfred Williams, Ma Tanavasa, those guys are starting to come with the pressure in these playoffs.
Ma Tanavasa, come on, he's going up against all-pro center Frank Winters.
But if Tanavasa can't beat a guy named Joe Bag of Donuts, I quit.
Well, let me tell you what Joe Bag of Donuts brings with him. Robert Brooks, Antonio Freeman. You talk about two wideout, Dorsey Levens, William Henderson, and the best tight end in football, Mark Chimera. I don't think they can stop this group.
But let me tell you the difference in this game. The Broncos can do their mile-high salute with no problem. But you have to be bionic to do a Lambeau leap in San Diego. Those walls are 40 feet in the air.
Oh, Chris, how about leaping off this boat? I heard enough. Take us home, Skipper.
Aye, aye. Hey, listen, to me, it sounds just like another fish start. But for those two, the big one did get away.
It's time to boat.
I know why these guys are acting the way they do. They don't have the Super Bowl ring like you and I.
That's right.
But you're kind of selfish because you own 2 of them. You could have let them borrow one.
I may let Chris have one for this week.
All right, before we make our selections.
That'd be a good idea. I like that.
As to who is going to win Super Bowl 32, let's recap how our guests thought this game was going to go. The 49ers All-Pro tight end Brent Jones and Dennis Green, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, both picked the Green Bay Packers to repeat as Super Bowl champions. This is what I've been waiting for, our opportunity to talk about this game. Nick, who's going to win?
Green Bay Packers win, Lenny. Single big difference in this ball game is Gilbert Brown, the defensive tackle. Sure, Denver's offensive line, they play well against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they also blocked the Pittsburgh zone blitz very, very well. But there was no Gilbert Brown. He takes on 2 blockers, sometimes 3 blockers, and what this does is it frees up the inside linebacker Bernardo Harris and the outside linebacker Brian Williams. These guys can chase down Terrell Davis, and they will stop the Denver running game. Green Bay wins 35-17.
You know, Nick, I got a chance to go back and watch the game film between Green Bay and San Francisco, and a couple of things really stuck out. One, I agree with you. I think the inside linebackers for the Packers are very quick. You can't run to the outside against those guys the way San Francisco tried to. However, there is a soft spot right up the middle. If you can double team Gilbert Brown and isolate on those linebackers with the fullback, which is what the Denver Broncos do best, I think they'll have a chance to run the football. Secondly, Brett Favre may be the best quarterback I've ever seen in my life. You know, everybody talks about his arm and his ability to move around, but what impressed me were his reads. This guy is not making mental mistakes anymore. He's finding the open receiver. He's the difference. I like Green Bay 31-21.
Well, you like Brett Favre. What about Dorsey Levens? Last game, 127 yards rushing against the 49ers, the number 2 defense in all of football. How many yards is he going to rush against the Broncos? The Broncos have one chance to stop him. Blitz, bring everybody up on the line, jam the line, and then your Favre throws for all kinds of touchdowns. I take the Packers 31-7.
I hate to agree with you on this very last game that we are going to select, but I do, but not by that score. I think it's going to be 30-7.
Oh, 1 point. 1 point.
I've watched game film of both Denver and Green Bay all year long, and Denver is in a can't-win situation. I agree with Jerry Glanville. You know, if you put Steve Atwater up on that line of scrimmage, then they're going to just pick those cornerbacks apart. Brett Favre is going to do that. Then if they put him back there, then they're going to run with Dorsey Levens. Plus, the tight end is going to be a key in this ball game. Shimura is going to get down there and find an open spot. He's going to score a couple of touchdowns. 30-7, folks. That's the final. The Green Bay Packers over the Denver Broncos. Well, that's our show for this week. Remember, Inside the NFL premieres each Thursday evening at 11 p.m. If you miss any of it, you can catch it once again Fridays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Now, before we go, we'd like to thank the U.S. Navy for all their help. And for Nick, Chris, and Jerry, I'm Len Dawson saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week back in our New York studio to wrap up our 21st season of broadcasting Inside the NFL. We'll have highlights from the game, plus interviews with the winning team. Enjoy Super Bowl 32.
American football, rugby for girls. No doubt, Broncos this time.
John Elway in Denver, hopefully bringing it back to the AFC.
No way, man. Packers going for 2.
There's a lot of speculation back home, and there's a lot of pressure being put on our leaders, but people don't understand why that is being done.
Enhanced our intensity.
Brett.
I think there's a sense of urgency for all of us. We're going to do everything we can to try to bring them back to gold.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of